Hello everyone and welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is We Found Something Abnormal. I Think I'm in Danger by Urban Explorer 2002. If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like. And if you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe and become a resident of Hill Street. And let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get to this nightmare. Hey, I'm not entirely sure where I should share this, but my friends and I found something weird while exploring, and I'm pretty freaked out. My two best friends and I, who I will refer to as B and D, often go out and explore downtown Los Angeles when we've had a couple of drinks and need to cool off before heading home. Usually, we go into high-rise hotels and take pictures on the rooftops with the skyline before leaving. We never cause issues, we're always respectful, and we're always in and out within a few minutes. We've done this probably 6 or 7 times over the last couple of years and have never run into problems. It was about 11:30 last Friday, the 19th. And we were out having fun exploring the city. We had a few beers and a blunt and stopped into the Omni to get some pictures from the roof. We were underwhelmed by the view, so we headed back down to the street to find a new hotel. We walked a few blocks before coming across a hotel that was a few stories taller than the Omni. It had no discernibly advised name or label. The valet greeted us. We walked through the door and into the lobby. Now, we usually have no issue blending in at these places because we're casually but respectfully dressed college kids. We're always very confident, and even though we're not supposed to be there, we're usually the only ones that know that. We immediately stood out here. There were maybe 15 people in the lobby. 2 distinct employees. A very small minority of patrons were not wearing suits, and among them, we were the only ones not in dress shoes and slacks. Many people stopped their conversations to stare at us. We did the white person smile nod combo. A few people smiled back, but most of them just kept staring. We felt the vibe and hurried through the lobby to the elevator. We hailed the elevator and B tried to signal no to D and I, but we just told him to be cool. The doors opened and a well-dressed couple come out. We let them pass and the man smiled and slurred, "Thanks, gentlemen." The woman did not acknowledge us at all, nor did she look like she wanted to be there. We push the button for the 25th floor and the elevator rumbles into ascent. B says, "Guys, I really don't think we should be here." D and I assure him we'll be fine, and we'll just quickly get one picture from the roof. After we say that, the 10th floor light comes on, and the elevator lurches to a stop. We hear 2 voices from the other side, but when the door opens, there's only a single employee holding a radio. He asks if we're going up. I say 18. Trying to play it off as if we're residents, and D covertly hits the corresponding floor button. The man says perfect and shuffles into the elevator with us before muting his radio. For the sake of keeping up appearances, I start bullshitting about a workday I didn't have with D and B, as if we're mid-conversation, and they followed along. The elevator stops at 18 and we get out. We rounded the corner to go down the hallway, and another employee was waiting at the end. We casually walked down the hallway, and the elevator guy was following about 10 feet behind, checking the doors as he passed them. About halfway through the hall, I stopped and said, "Ah crap, D, I think I left our room key in your car." My friends made fun of me for something I didn't do before agreeing to go back down to the car with me to get it. We turned around, and as we passed the elevator guy, I politely smiled and waved at him. He just stared blankly through me, like he was looking into the void. We get to the elevator, and it comes back down from the 25th floor we sent it to without us. As we're getting into the elevator, I could hear the two employees quietly saying something around the corner, but I couldn't make out what. The doors close, and the elevator lulls into descent. We briefly agree how creepy that was, and B says, "I tried telling you guys," before the 10th floor light comes back on again. We all exchange a look of worry, and after a few dings, the elevator violently stops at the 10th floor. The doors open, and we're greeted by a smiling employee who asks if we're going up. We all say no, and he says no problem, I'll get the next one. The doors close, and he never once stops staring at us or smiling. Creepy. The elevator once again begins to descend, and we start making small talk about how weird the place is. B made a funny Twilight Zone joke, and we all laugh for a moment. After a few sentences though, we all groan silent, anticipating the doors to open again. But they don't. When I notice how long it's been, I start counting the dings in my head. I got to 8 before D says what I imagine we're all thinking. This has been way more than 10 floors. We start to freak out a bit. B suggests we call the cops, but immediately realizes how much trouble we could get into once reality steps in. Only one of us is 21. He drove us here, will be driving us back. All 3 of us are intoxicated on both alcohol and weed, and if we can't lie well enough, we're also trespassing. We withhold our instinct to call for help and just sit there in a silent panic for a few more minutes. I don't know how many floors we allegedly passed. I lost count after 30 dings. There are about 8 to 10 seconds between each ding. D starts to say how he's starting to seriously freak out, but shuts up when all 3 of us clearly feel the elevator violently lurch to a halt. We look at each other. I've never seen 2 people so scared in my life. I can only imagine what I look like. We look back to the opening doors of the elevator. On the other side is a colossal empty concrete room. It looks like a parking structure, but there are large wooden crates all over the place, like the ones in Half-Life. The ground is covered with candy wrappers, chips and jerky bags, cigarette butts, soda bottles, and scattered empty nips of liquor. It smells horrible, like a meat freezer that's been without power for a few weeks. I pull out my phone and turn on the flashlight, but the room is too large to see farther than a few feet. Before the door can shut again, a large clash echoes through the room and scares the heck out of us. If you've ever worked in construction, it sounded like when someone drops a trench plate or a large sheet of heavy metal on the ground. We huddle against the corner of the elevator and keep dead quiet. We hear shuffling and footsteps right outside the elevator. Sounds like it's just a few feet away. After what feels like minutes, the door finally closes, and the 3 of us simultaneously exclaim sighs of relief. After the elevator lulls back into action, I thankfully have the wherewithal to start a timer on my phone. But we're in such a hurry to leave the hotel that I forgot to stop it. Last I checked, it hit 2 minutes before the elevator finally stops and opens upon the lobby. We waste no time and booked it for the front door. The lobby was completely empty. We left the hotel and made our way to D's car a few blocks away. He ended up getting a parking ticket, but we were so shaken up that he didn't even care. We drove in silence for a few minutes before B asked from the back seat, "What the heck was that?" None of us knew. D speculated it was a hotel for elites to meet prostitutes, but that was about as far as our rationalization got. I genuinely haven't the slightest clue what it is we experienced. We got to B's apartment and he stepped out. He said goodnight, and before leaving, he told us not to mention this over the phone or online. We figured it was mostly just him being paranoid, but agreed for the sake of keeping him comfortable. Not to say we weren't pretty freaked out ourselves. We stuck around to make sure he got up safely before heading off to my place. Pulling into the parking lot, I got out and told Dee to text me when he got home. I went upstairs to my suite and waved down to Dee as I entered, who drove off. I got inside and smoked myself stupid to try to shake off the immense discomfort. About a half an hour later, Dee texted me that he's home and safe. That was the last B or I have heard from him. As of writing this, it's officially been 50 hours since that text, and I'm genuinely starting to get worried, not only for my friend, but I think I'm starting to get paranoid about my own safety. Saturday, my parking lot was full of people sitting in vehicles I've never seen before. People who do not live in my apartment. I swear to God, yesterday, I watched someone follow me home from the gym before getting into one of those cars and just staying there for hours. I keep peeking out through my blinds and saw him sitting in there. I've gotten 9 phone calls from private numbers since then. I have no idea if any of these events are connected or if I'm just being paranoid. I'm afraid to leave my apartment. I'm afraid to use my phone. This is the first time to my knowledge any of the 3 of us had broken our agreement not to speak of this online or over the phone. I just can't shake the feeling something bad is about to happen. Even the past couple of texts from B have been weird, telling me we'll meet up and talk soon, and to stay quiet. Before asking me what time I get off from the job he knows I got laid off from a week ago. It's 4 a.m. now, and about 2 hours ago, there were 2 quiet knocks at my front door, about a minute apart. I was too afraid to answer. Am I just being paranoid? Should I talk to somebody about this? I really don't know what to do, or if my fear is rational. I'm usually not the paranoid type. I just don't know what to do. Please help me.